Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Stevie Nichols. Soak it in this weekend because another cumbersome international break is on its way. But before that, some big clashes across Europe. We'll start in the Premier League, shall we? Top of the table, Manchester City taking on Chelsea, who sit 10th, of course, after that victory against Spurs on Monday. Let's have a look at how the bookies have things set. The game is at Stamford Bridge. Yet Chelsea still 4-1 to get the victory. A draw 27-10. City, meanwhile, 11-8 on. For more on this, let's welcome in, shall we? Former Chelsea defender is here, Frank the Buff. Oh, and here are their predictions. Let me do that before we bring them in. I'm going for a draw. Jan's going for a draw. Frank and Stevie both going for a City victory. Spoiler alert, Frank and Jan are with us. Jan, let's start with you. Why a draw?
Why draw? Because I was there on Monday. I was at the most intense and hectic game that I've ever seen in my life, I think, between Tottenham and Chelsea. And I think that Chelsea have got themselves some self-confidence. So I think they will take this on the bounce. I think that Manchester City will struggle against an enthusiastic Chelsea team. So I go in for a draw. Project Pochettino has started, and we were there live.
Will City have 9 men, Jan?
Yeah. Good point. Very good point. They will probably volunteer to start with 9 men. But I think that it was funny. I mean, I talked to Pochettino after the game, made an interview with him, and my first question to him: didn't you understand that high line of Tottenham, that maybe a midfielder can run into it, and he didn't want to talk about this? Surprise, surprise.
Wow, upsetting people wherever you go, Jan. Frank, you don't have any faith in Chelsea despite that big win.
No, because, I mean, you have to be realistic. As much as I would love to see the Blues winning against City, I think you have to be professional and see clearly the differences between the two teams. And that would have been another club, any other club. I would have put the same result, because I think City is above everybody else first. And Chelsea, yes, I've watched that game against Tottenham. Yes, they are a better way of playing football, I would say, a better way of thinking positively from the Blues. But still, there's so much a big gap between those two teams that it's impossible for me to say that Chelsea can win. And even against 9 against 11 for City, I wouldn't be sure to put another result than that one.
Isn't it weird, Stevie? Like, if you said beforehand Nico Jackson would get a hat-trick, you think, oh, wow, this is it. This is exactly what he needed. It's been a rough start since making that move from La Liga. Yet, if you saw the game, 3 was pretty much the minimum he could have got considering the chances. But still, it is a hat-trick. Does it change anything going forward for him?
Well, I'm sure he personally will think that it's a bit of a milestone and that, you know, he's now ready to take opportunities that will come his way. It's very hard to go overboard and celebrate with them because of the circumstances.
Right.
And the truth is, the high line they played was absolutely ridiculous. And so that's why it's tough to give him a lot of credit. Because we know he's missed a lot of chances, a lot of easy chances. And I don't think they're going to get as many chances in this game as they got, certainly against City, as they got against Tottenham. And the mere fact as well that they probably should have lost more goals against 9 men.
Right.
If Tottenham can do that to Chelsea with 9, what is City going to do with 11? So either way you look at this, whether it's the front line or the back line, this has got Man City all over it.
And City, of course, brought in Doku over the summer, who really kind of was the shining star, wasn't he? It was Bournemouth, so maybe you could take a little bit away from that. But defensively, how do you stop someone who just has this pace and ability?
Well, you have to bring him inside and then double up. Basically, is what you do. You know, he's got too much pace that you show him the outside because he'll run past you. That means you've got to try and bring him into traffic. And you've got to try and bring him into traffic early. You can't wait until you're in the edge of the box. You've got to try and do it early. Get as tight as you can, double up, and bring him inside to where all the bodies are. But the one thing I would say about him, already, he looks like a match winner.
Yeah.
He's a game changer. And again, if we look at both of these sides, who's a game changer for Chelsea?
Oh, Cole Palmer, people are getting excited about.
Right, and even the way your tone was there, it was kind of an apologetic.
Sorry.
Cole Palmer. Whereas you go the other side and you're picking names out. It could be Ford, and it could. I mean, there's 3 or 4 of them.
Right.
So it's very difficult to try and think that Chelsea's going to win this game.
Jan, we watch a lot of football, obviously, and it's something that is just so enjoyable about watching someone like Doku, who just kind of plays with this pace and this skill. It's an unabandonment way that he does it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and again, I think we have to praise Manchester City. It's easy to say they got all the money, they got this and they got that, and they win everything. But Doku, they picked him up. They picked up another player who kind of comes into the scholarship by Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola more or less makes every player better that he comes there. Grealish on the left side, very vital last season for him in the treble season. Got to look over his shoulder now. Doku could be in the starting 11 ahead of him. And it's always this ability to do that. And in this game, it was amazing. It was 8 players who had made 4 assists in one game, and Doku was the last one doing it. The first one was Bergkamp. I mean, that was some of a performance. Yes, it was Bournemouth, but sometimes it's also hard to bring down teams that stand as they do. But by getting a player like Doku, you got another skill in the team. And I think it's amazing to see how Manchester City managed to kind of not only individual skill what they're doing, but how quick they learn to play the Manchester City way. There is a freedom in an organized kind of system of Pep.
It's so much fun to watch, Frank.
He is, and it reminds me a little bit of Vinicius Junior, like 2-3 years ago. Same positioning, same pace, same skills, and well, he's not there yet because Vinicius proved years after years that his consistency and his talent. But we have, an example of somebody who can prove to the world that we found a new diamond, and it's fun because he put the pace, he tricks everybody, and he brings a plus, but he serves the others. I mean, how many assists in one game? Yeah, it's almost, but still, he plays with the others. He understands the football. He knows what the others are, and he can finish action, and he's full of confidence. I mean, the 1-2 that he does with the shot that he makes is somebody who doesn't question himself. Is somebody who knows exactly what's going on.
You know the best thing about him? He does what the majority of wide players in the Premier League don't do, and particularly the Premier League, but probably in Europe. It's when he gets to the top of the edge of the box and it's one-on-one, he doesn't turn round and hit the ball back towards his own goal.
Yeah.
It's not. He doesn't do that. That's not in his mindset. It's one-on-one. I'm faster than this guy. I'm taking him on. I mean, I wish other teams would watch him, and I wish other teams would understand that you make this fullback's job so easy when you turn around and go backwards. The fullback's delighted that you don't take him on, but he doesn't do that.
What's interesting as well, and Jan mentioned, you got Jack Grealish, who was a big part of all that success last season, playing second fiddle at the moment. You're struggling to get game time. Phil Foden in some ways as well. Kevin De Bruyne is still to come back. But you never really hear of too much disharmony from City because Pep doesn't have to put an arm around you and say, look, you get your chance. He's like, you're the best team in the world. What do you expect?
Yeah, but there's a I use this word culture, but culture is important.
Right.
And the culture is that everybody knows that there'll be times they won't play, but everybody knows that they'll get on the field. And so when you know and you're just waiting for it to come, you're not sitting thinking about it.
Right.
Every time there's a team meeting, am I going to play? Am I not going to play? You want to be there. You just want to be part of this. And if it means you get half an hour, or it means you start next week and they don't the next week, everybody accepts it. I mean, that is man management at its finest.
And that's priceless, isn't it, Jan?
Absolutely, and I think that I've because of Erling, I've followed Manchester City and I see a lot of their games live and follow what is going on at the club. And it seems like it is a club in harmony. Yes, Stevie's culture is very important, and of course, it's easier to have harmony when you win football games. That is true. But you see a lot of great teams. You don't feel they have that culture of like to be together. They enjoy being together. And if you see Manchester City play, there is always, yes, they have a lot of individual players, but you see it's still the team first. You see how happy they are when other players score. They're all there in for each other. Does that mean that they don't have their individual targets or selfish targets for their career? Of course they are. But with Pep Guardiola, you kind of get that harmony. You get that winning culture. You get them stand together. And it's a very important thing. Look at Pep when he has press conference talking about players not playing. Those are the ones he prays more than the ones playing. Sometimes, and that is man management at his best, of course.
Meanwhile, for Chelsea, Frank, expectations this season, where do we stand? Any chance of a top 4 place?
I don't think so. I mean, we already talked about that during the show and in the show, but I mean, it would be unreal or surreal to think that right now Chelsea can finish in the first 4. I mean, you have to be reasonable. You have to see the weaknesses and the quality that the club, the players have. Yes, they have talents, but again, we have a lack of experience. We don't know where we are right now. The fans expect a lot, and they have the right to expect a lot coming from a club spending so much money. But when you see on the field what's going on, you see as a former player that there are lacks of many things and coordination between lines, players coming back from injury, not ready to play. Of course, the front line is not there yet, and we didn't resolve anything from last season. So expecting something from this team, this squad right now, is living in another world, is having a fantasy, but is not living in the real world.